What's up, guys? It's Jordan from Blackwater, Japan, and today I am going to be installing the EZ Knuckle angle kit on our first gen GS300. It should be the same for all GSs from 1993 to 2005. Very similar with the IS300 and I believe the LS400 as well. And anyways, let's go over the kit a little bit. So basically, it's a custom knuckle kit, and basically what it is, it's a roll center adjuster that is offset just a little bit, and it changes the tie rod pickup. So just to do a quick rundown on the kit, essentially you will have your ball joint like so, and you will have to cut off the tie rod part of the ball joint because it gives you a new tie rod pickup here. So essentially, once this is all cut, I'm gonna have it flipped right here. Essentially, you'll have it like so, and it sits like this on your control arm and your knuckle. And then it also, I assume, would give you a little bit of camber because of this off put right here. And this will go into your stock knuckle. Ball joint sits like this, and the tie rod right here is going to sit right through this guy here. And basically what it's doing is it's shortening your tie rod pickup point. So when you turn all the way to full max, it pushes it out more to give you more angle. So without further ado, I got to go outside, get the car up in the air, and I need to start by basically cutting this tie rod pickup point off. And I'll show you guys how I do that. Once I cut that off, I can start to slowly assemble the ball joint and the EZ Knuckle and bolt that together with the supplied bolts that EZ Knuckle gives you. Let's get it. So essentially, I just need to cut this right here and get this guy off there, and then I should be able to bolt it on to the EZ Knuckle. Okay. Now we might have to clean this up a little bit, but we got to see if it fits in our knuckle now. Let's see. Alright, so one thing I noticed is that the left ball joint doesn't line up well with the left knuckle. So I don't know if you can see that, but you see how it doesn't line up very well. See, now if I flip it, it lines up perfectly, but then the grease part is facing the hub, so I don't want that. So instead, I think I'm just gonna run the left ball joint on the right knuckle because that fits perfectly, and then that way when it's on the car, the grease point will still be facing outwards. I don't think it matters because, I mean, you're cutting the tie rod pickup point anyways. It's just basically, you know, going to be the same. It just needs to bolt into here just fine, and you'll be good. The reason why it doesn't line up is because of how the spot for this part is tapered in here. When I go to put it on there, it's just, I need to push it a little too far up, and it just keeps hitting right here. So not a big deal, but it is something I just noticed. So I'm just gonna mention that if you guys run into that issue, it's not a big deal just to flip it and put it on the other side, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna clean up this corner here. So with my little bench grinder, and then I'll cut the next one and continue assembling. Alright, I'm going to call that good. Looks good. Looks like it's going to fit on here just fine. Alright, so this is the hardware that it comes with. These are going to be the ones that hold the ball joint to the angle kit. And these are going to be the angle kit to the knuckle. So essentially in here like so. I'll set it up now and show you what it looks like. So essentially it's going to look like this with the lock washers on this side, just like that. And I just have these hand tightened right now. I haven't tightened them yet. I'm going to tighten everything when it's in the car. So now I'm going to start getting the car up in the air. because I need to use the ball joint that's already on the car because I don't have one for the other side because the ball joint snapped, and so I had to use one of these when it snapped just to get it back home. So I'm going to get the car up in the air and start disassembling stuff. Alright, so first things first, I got the car up in the air. Don't worry, it is on jack stands. I just put those under there to keep support as well. So, gonna remove this tie rod by pulling the cotter pin off and then pulling this bolt off and then hammering it. Should drop down. And then there's the 2 bolts for the actual knuckle itself. Where can I show you that at? Those Allen ones. This car already has RCAs, so. And then this one for the control arm. And that's really it. And then I should be able to pick up the whole knuckle. Pick up the whole knuckle and move it to the side. And then hammer the ball joint out. Okay, so after you have these bolts off, the stock bolts are like 17 mils, I believe. I had RCAs, so I already had the Allen style bolts. You can kind of put this to the side, but you're going to want to, if you're doing outer and inner tie rods like I am, you're going to want to break the tie rod jam nut loose before you start taking this off, because it'll be really hard to get that guy loose if this is free and there's nothing holding the tie rod in place. So break that guy loose, and then you can start working on taking this and that off. Oh, it worked. That was cool. Now since we're not using this tie rod, we can just spin this off. I must have bought some really cheap ball joints because these aren't even, oh my gosh, these aren't even greasable. There's no grease fitting on here. This guy I couldn't get to come off, but Jesus Christ. Well, that wasn't good. Alright, got these guys all assembled. Everything's cut and cleaned up and installed on the RCA angle kit. And now I'm doing the inner tie rods. Basically, I removed the boot by cutting the zip tie here and cutting the inner zip tie. And then there will be a lock washer. Kind of hard to show you guys right here. That'll have to kind of pry it back because it's kind of pried up against it. And then I'll put a wrench on here and break it loose. You can see this one has some power steering fluid and some grease all over it. Probably because the power steering seals are no good on this rack, but I don't care. I'm just gonna have to send it right now. I don't have power steering seals. So I'm gonna do the other side, which looks to be a little bit more tricky possibly, because on the 96 GSs, it has this thread here for a steering damper, which is really strange. So I've never actually seen one on a GS, but looks like it comes on the first gen GS. So I'm gonna, looks like there's a boot zip tie right there to cut and a zip tie right there. And I will see how to remove that piece. Looks like this has its own boot here. This is the inner tie rod. And then you slip this guy this way and it comes off there. And the new tie rod gets rid of this part. So you'll see there, it doesn't have that. It still has that boot on there. And yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I've never actually seen a GS with the actual damper on. It just looks like a little shock. And it like goes over here, I believe, somewhere, connects like this or something. It's supposed to help with steering feedback. I really don't know, don't understand it completely, but now I'm gonna try my best to get this guy off and hope that it's not a fucking cunt, but we'll see soon. Alright guys, we had to do a little pit stop because I did not have a tool to take off the inner tie rod on the passenger side. And my adjustable wrench that I had was not big enough, and the pipe wrench that I had was not working. And we're gonna try to use this and hope that it takes it off. Oh, I got it. Nice. Oh, I got it, baby. Okay, so you might be wondering why I'm cutting. Because if you look right here, this stud on the dampener for the power steering rack dampener, this little stud right here, when I loosen the tie rod, it hits this. Now, this is a reverse thread, so I could break it loose the other way and
basically righty-tighty it, and it should come off the actual inner tie rod. But because I already struggled so hard just to get the inner tie rod loose, I'm just gonna cut this stud off and just get this guy out of here, because I'm not playing no games today. I'm getting this guy the fuck off of here, because that shit is annoying. What kind of design is that? Like, seriously. There we go.
There it goes.
Okay, so there's that. Let's see if we can get this guy off now. There she is. Oh god. Yeah, that one was a bitch. So apparently, you see this? Mm-hmm. This is supposed to unthread from this. But I don't understand. So that means that you put this on, like you put this on loosely over the rack, and then you put this tie rod in, and then you put this back on here. Yeah, this is a dumb design. I'm sorry, but it is. It's the only Lexus that has something like this. No other Lexus does. Only the first gen GS has this. Okay, I'll throw a little bolt on here. And then I think I'm just gonna try and pick this up. Let's just get them started by hand. Okay, I got these bolts started by hand. I'm just gonna kind of zip them up here. All right. Now we'll have to zip down that ball joint. All right, guys, so it's a couple days later, and I went off basically what EZ Knuckles said to use for the inner and outer tie rods, and it turns out it was kind of wrong. I think their meaning for which ones to use are for people who have extended lower arms and not for people who have stock lower arms. So I went through the hassle of figuring out exactly what you need to make this EZ Knuckle kit work for the JZS147 GS300 chassis. And I'm going to show you now on this little diagram I wrote out what they said to use and what you should actually use. Okay, so take a second for yourself and pause the video and look over this information. This is what EZ Knuckles tells you to run, and this is what you actually need to run. And this is for people who have stock lower arms, not extended lower arms, because that may be different. That may push the tie rod out even further, and so you may need something else. But for this instance, we have stock lower arms, and this is what you're going to want. So basically what happened was I went off of these parts here. So for the driver inner, I had the Camry one that they suggested, and for the passenger, I had the Corvette. And then they say to use GS300 outer tie rods. Well, it turns out when I did that, I didn't have enough adjustment to tow the vehicle all the way out. It was too far in. So then I went and cut this side. I cut the Corvette down, but even with this being cut down, I ran out of threads before I can get the toe in the right spot. So therefore, I did some research, asked some other people around the group, and what you're actually going to need is on the driver inner, you're going to need the IS300 tie rod, and on the passenger inner, you still use the Corvette one like they say, and then you don't need GS outer tie rods, you need IS outer tie rods. And that's because if you see right here, these are all IS outer tie rods. These are GS outer tie rods, and they are shorter. And then these guys are longer. So this is what you're going to run. This is the IS300 outer. Sorry, this is the IS300 inner tie rod right here. And this is the Camry inner. You can see this runs out of adjustment because it's not long enough before you can adjust the toe all the way out. And this guy's long enough to give you more of a running start. So if you use these guys with the IS outers, then it's going to be too short, except for the passenger side, obviously, because that has the Corvette one, and that's perfectly fine. And so I made the mistake of putting the Corvette one on. I cut it short to try and max the other side, and then I used the GS outers. They were too long still, and then I swapped to the IS outers, and they were too short. And so then I went and did some more research and figured out these are the parts that you need. So this headache caused me a few days of trying to figure this thing out, and the car was on jack stands, and I had to leave it for a while until I got the right parts in and all that. So I hope that helps anyone who was trying to figure this out. Now let's get on with the install. All right, so should be able to see where this guy's going. And you're not going to want to forget your lock washer. And you'll see these two tabs. They go in those two tabs. Sweet. And then you want to snug it down. Okay, once you're confident that you got yours snugged down, you're supposed to take a little hammer and a pry bar and pry these lock washers this way so the thing can't come undone. But I'm not going to do that because I have no room to get under here and do that. So instead, I'm just going to leave it, and if my whole front end rattles loose one day, I'll know why. But now I'm going to put on my little boot here. Perfect. And then I'll cut the zip tie. And then this front one, you don't want to go too tight with it, because if you do, then when you go to adjust your alignment, the boot will get tangled up in it. So just like that, pretty easy. Now I'm going to go on to the other side and do the other side's inner real quick. Okay, now that I got the inners on and tightened how I want, it's time to just throw the outers on. This is the left side, so I'm doing the driver's side here. And I'm just going to give it an eyeball alignment before I go to the alignment shop and get it close. So we're just going to screw this on, and then I'm going to put this guy in the knuckle here and see how far I need to go in. Also, when you're doing this, make sure your steering wheel's straight. This one's pretty straight. Check out our new bucket seat we just got. Kind of cool. Okay guys, so on the passenger side, we got that extra long inner Corvette tie rod. And it looks like I'm gonna have to cut a little bit of the threads off because the outer tie rod bottoms out before I can get the toe to come out, so it's still a little far in. So I'm just gonna take off like maybe 1/2 inch and try again. Cut off 1/2 inch with my grinder and then try again, see how close I can get it. Okay, so inners are installed, outer tie rods are installed, ball joint and EZ Knuckle kit's installed. Eyeballed the alignment to get this pretty straight on both sides. Oh, you guys can't really see this one. And that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna throw my wheels on now. I make sure my steering wheel is perfectly straight, as center as I can, and then I'm gonna take it for a test drive. So we'll go from there and see how much angle I got. All right guys, so I'm just letting the car warm up. It hasn't been started for a while, but dang, it looks sexy. These two cars together look great. So we're just gonna go get a good test drive in, make sure everything's solid and no noises, nothing crazy happening. I am on 19s and they're kind of wide, so it's probably gonna be hard to utilize all that angle with the wheels I'm running up front, but it still should be good and it still should give us some more angle, and it's got us a lot more camber. So anyways, we're just gonna go on a quick test drive. Got the new seat in here too, and hope everything's good. All right, let's get it. All right, so my alignment's a little bit off due to me just eyeballing the toe, but this thing drives great and the angle is amazing. Even with my 19s, I can do figure eights right here, no problem. Sorry, it's shitty outside, it's raining. Yeah, no issue at all. Oh yeah, this thing has tons of angle. Woo, feels great. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of this video. I hope this helped anyone who needed some guidance on the EZ Knuckle angle kit install. I'm definitely gonna try drifting with it here soon and put up some more videos of it, and I'll give you guys better reviews then. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Peace out, guys.